I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria. I came from a close-knitted family, even though I came from a poor family. But they gave me education with the instruction that this is the tool that will help me to dig my way out of poverty and ignorance. I came without a dime in my pocket. All I had was big dreams, determination to succeed, and the resilience. So coming from another country gave me that insight to be able to understand and deal with people from different backgrounds.
I was walking into Kroger to pick up a prescription for my mom. Upon approaching the pharmacy, I slipped and fell in some liquid. I went to see my regular doctor, and that is when I knew that there was more going on from that fall. I then called Mr. Olawale, talked to him and let him know what was going on. I could just say that he's very professional and knowledgeable about what he does. He's very passionate about what he does, and he cares about his clients. I felt like I was a part of the Olawale family.
The goal is to make sure that our clients will leave feeling that someone gets them, knowing that someone was able to be the voice for them.
We needed an attorney because we needed somebody who understood the relationship between our case and the law. We had been through 4 different lawyers. We were very desperate. We knew from what we had heard that Emmanuel Olawale was the man, who could take us through that experience and see us through and give us the kind of outcome we were looking for. For him, your case is personal. He gave us hope. He gave us encouragement, and we knew that we had found the right man that would see us through.
Just know that when you're coming through the door, you're coming in through a place where you will be accepted and welcome as family, where you'll be seen as a person. At the Olawale Law Firm, we get you. We understand you. Trust us. Welcome to this episode of Legal Angle with Emmanuel, the Law Olawale. I have a very special guest with me today. Her name is DeVeonne Gregory. She is a person that has dedicated her life to mentoring youth and preventing incarceration. She's also currently running to make history to become the first African American to a commissioner in Licking County. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Can you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So, as you stated, my name is DeVeonne Gregory, and I am a community baby. I grew up in a community. I remember when I was the age of 14 years old, running a summer youth program. And I think that's where my love for the youth started. I later on worked in the summer youth program with my father for up until the age that I was able to go to college. I then went to college. I attended Central State University, so HBCU proud. It was also there that I continued on my love, and I earned an education degree. After college, I moved back home and worked with my family. We opened up a school called the Academy for Urban Scholars High School. And that is where I continued to see all the things that our Black youth had to experience and the things that they had to go through. And so I knew that something had to change. And I knew that that's really where I was supposed to be. Outside of working with the youth and being a mentor, I'm a compliance director. And so my job is to make sure that we stay out the paper for the wrong reasons and in for the right reasons. I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. My son is ready to graduate from Central State as well. And then I also have a fur baby by the name of Ace. But I really want people to know that one thing about me is I always strive to be the voice for people who feel like they don't have a voice and that they're underrepresented. And a lot of time that is our youth, and especially for today. it's very troubling in the schools. A lot of our youth are raising themselves, whether it's their own parent has been incarcerated, or mom and dad has to work many hours. Grandparents aren't like they used to be. You used to could just call grandma, but a lot of that has changed. And so just working in this work every day has just motivated me to want to do something different continuously. And so mentorship is one way that I can give back to the youth. And so that's what I grew a passion for.
Thank you. And what was your own life like growing up?
Oh, wow. So growing up, I was the only girl growing up, so very spoiled, very blessed. But we was a church family, and so we went to church probably every day of the week. And if anyone else is a church family, then my father was a deacon, my mother was in a choir. We had to go to VBS, but we laugh all the time because really that's where we gained our aunties and our uncles. We didn't have a big family, but my father always was a person that people knew that they can call, because if they needed somewhere to stay, our home was always open to anyone. I remember riding down the street and we would see homeless people. And my dad would say, I gotta pull over, I gotta pull over. And we would say, why? And he would give the homeless man $100. So when you talk about what type of home life, it's always just been about the community, and about education. So we pride ourselves on, how are you giving back to the community, and how are you making sure that you're educating the community to want to do something different. So always just community oriented, always having someone live with us, and always giving back.
Well, what a wonderful home life. So your parents gave you that foundation to just want to give back to the community and those who have less.
Absolutely. One of the other things that we did was we started up a summer program where any youth could come and attend. And we really did that because what we noticed was they didn't have anything to do. They were just at home, and that's how a lot of trouble began. And so when we were doing, we used to run Uzi Alley or Greenbrier, if anyone is familiar with that. And so we started off just doing housing and working with women to get them off public assistance. But what we noticed was there was so much more to just the family as a whole. So really dealing with the family holistic. And so we decided to start a summer youth program. And after the summer youth program, we decided to open up high schools for non-traditional students that wanted a different opportunity in education.
And you mean your family did this outside of a church setting? This is something that your family did just as a body.
Oh yes, absolutely. Because church is really, it's outside of the doors. You got to take really giving back and being a servant. Being a servant really starts outside of the church doors. And so our family, my father started a high school, and we've been in existence now for going on 12 years.
Okay. So you come from a family of educators.
Yes, education, anything that's dealing with, the community, is where my family foundation is.
Thank you. And when you decide to pursue a bachelor's degree in education, was that inspired by how you were raised, or was that just something that your father asked you to do?
Oh no, it wasn't. So I didn't even know what I wanted to go to school for. It was like first I wanted to be an attorney actually. I wanted to be an attorney, and then my high school counselor told me there were too many attorneys in the world. And my parents were really upset about that because at the time I was going to Bishop Hartley High School. He said, I'm paying all this money, and your counselor said, what? And so I said, well, that's what they told me. So I want to do something different. So I like doing hair. I would do all the little girls' hair in the neighborhood, their nails. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna do hair. And again, they were like, I paid all this money for you to decide to do hair. I'm like, well, somebody has to do it. And then what I said was, okay, what is my passion? What do I like to do? And so when I looked at what I like to do and what my passion was, that's when I decided, you know what, I want to become a teacher. I want to really be the person that I had a couple of principals. I had Miss Harper and Miss Johnson, and I really wanted to become those people. I wanted to become an impact. I wanted to become something that our youth could look up to, something positive. I wanted to be able to model something for them to achieve to be, and so that's why I decided to go into education.
Thank you. And after you graduated, did you teach?
So after I graduated, I had a unique experience. That's when we were working in the Greenbrier community, and so we were working to help people get off public assistance and help ex offenders get jobs. And so I went straight into the workforce component. And then from the workforce component, that's when we were able to see that people they're not educated, they're not going to work because they lack education. And so from that, I was able to use my degree when we started the high school, and I was the principal. I became the principal. I did teach kids through a program on how to build computers, and I also taught students on English. So I worked two different jobs. I worked with my family, and I also worked for an organization that taught kids how to read and how to build computers.
Oh, thank you. And how did you decide, since you were the principal of the school, also governing the school, the teachers, and making sure everyone keeps to the curriculum? How did you now decide to start mentoring youth?
So, what I the reason why I decided to become a mentor, or for us to initiate the mentoring program at the school, is because what we were noticing is that the students that weren't coming to school, they weren't coming because of lack of leadership. And when you look at lack of leadership, it was happening inside the homes. It was happening because they didn't have anyone to help guide them. And so even the parents were kind of frustrated because, they had tried everything they could, and there was nothing else they can do. And so when you look at the youth and you look at, why are you getting into trouble? Why are you skipping school? Why are you doing all these different things that are not positive? It all boils down to, who is your mentor? Who is your example? And so that's when I decided, it's really time to do something different. And so I called them my starting five. I started with five girls, and we did different things. We went and learned how to properly eat. So we talked about food etiquette. They went to church. We did community service. We talked about things you should do and things you shouldn't do when you're going to a job interview. So we worked on soft skills. Okay. But more importantly, we talked about loving yourself, and what does that look like? What does it look like to love yourself? So loving yourself, to me, does not look like you're laying down, you're having all these babies. Loving yourself is you're protecting who you are, and you're making sure that you're making the right decisions. I've even had students live with me. I've had students and their kids live with me. Whatever it took for me to really be successful with these five ladies is what I did. And so I was like, you know what? I'm your mentor. After doing all that, I said, you know what? Let's start a mentoring program. And so that's how we birthed the mentoring program, and it grew into something big. And we began to partner with different organizations such as MBK, Dimes Mentoring Program. And those are programs when you look at, programs that are benefit to the county. And so what it is we make sure that we keep in contact with our mentees at least once a week. And so with working with our mentors, what we've noticed is these are girls and boys, that the incarceration rate decreased. The people that were the young people, or the youth that were having all these offenses that are, they were continuously getting in trouble. We noticed that with the contact of just once a week, and that was the minimum. But often, a lot of our mentors, such as myself, we will reach out to our mentees at least 3 times a week. And so what we noticed is they decreased truancy, they increased their grades, increased. They became they wanted to go to work. They wanted to do something different. And then in return, a lot of them, because again, I've been doing this for over 15 years now. Guess what they want to do? They want to go into social work. They want to become mentors themselves. So what we've noticed is 80% of the people that we mentor are now becoming mentors. They're now getting into social work. They're now also decreasing the incarceration rate with even their families, because guess what they're doing? They're breaking the cycle. And so that's really what mentorship is about. It's about, how do you break the cycle? Black people or African Americans, we only make up, I think the census, last census was what, 14%? Of the 14%, how do we have the highest incarceration rate with our youth? That's alarming. African Americans are, I think it's 5 times more likely to go to prison or to be incarcerated. That's a problem. And so when you look at mentorship, those numbers decreased by 70%. 70%. So why not become a mentor? Why not continue to do this mentoring program when I have seen year after year black boys that were going to jail on multiple occasions? They were, I mean, it was the normal thing. But
Hmm.
then when they look at these positive mentors, such as myself and such as, my family and our other programs like MBK that we worked with, mentorship decreased. I mean, I'm sorry, incarceration decreased
Okay.
because of mentorship.
Thank you. Because you are able to model something else for them, because kids will only wants to be what they can see. You
That's
give
it.
them an alternative.
Yeah, they want to. So here's the thing. And that's why music to me is very important, because they want to become what they are a part of. And so right now music it's a thing for them. And so what we have, or what I have tried to do, especially with young ladies, is I've tried to show them something different. I'm not coming to work looking crazy. I'm not coming to work with a bonnet on. I'm coming to work, I'm dressed nice, I'm being respectful, I'm speaking. Again, you're talking about modeling. And when you talk about mentorship, they have to see something positive. They have to see a black woman coming to work, driving a nice car, educated. I pride myself on, going to an HBCU, earning my master's in business. When I got married, I had my child. I decided, you know what, I want to take my education to a higher level. I went back and got my master's. And so the young ladies need to hear, it doesn't matter what your path is what you set your mind to. So even at an older age, I decided to go back and get my master's, because I really wanted to have an understanding. Education is still a part of business. I went back and got my master's program.
Thank you. So you're showing them that they can be all they can be, and you're not just telling them how they can be it. You're also modeling it. Thank
Right.
you for doing that. And how do you decide who to mentor?
Ooh, that's a really great question, because a lot of times when we pick our mentees, is based off of personalities, and who has similar personalities, or who has the greatest need. But that's what the plan is, right? But what you notice, if you grow a love you for pretty much all of them. And so we decide, or I decide, who I'm going to mentor based on the need. Who has the greatest need, and who can I make the biggest impact to.
Is there a particular mentorship experience that stuck with you that you like to share?
Yeah, so when I talked about my principals, Miss Harper, and Miss Johnson, they really took some time to help birth the women that I am today. I remember going to their homes and spending quality time with them, and us having conversations that we may not have felt comfortable with, having our parents. So we would sit down and we would speak with them about all kind of topics. And I remember saying, I really want to be like you when I get older. I want to be that person that younger people can come and talk to about things that they are uncomfortable about. And so Miss Harper and Miss Johnson really are the ideal mentors that I strive to be, and that I aspire to be, even today.
They inspired you to be the woman that you are today. What they
Yes,
gave to you is what you're also giving back to the youth of today.
Right. And like I stated, I had mentorship goes past 9 to 5. It's more than that, because in the middle of the night you can get that call. Especially for young females, I have gotten calls at 2 and 3 in the morning. Miss Gregory, can you come get me? I just got in a fight with my boyfriend. And so at that time you have to make a decision. What are you going to do? And is it safe enough for you to leave your home to go to where they're at? And oftentimes, most of the time, that answer is yes. So you get out your bed in the middle of the morning, and you go to wherever that young lady is. And at that time, you're talking about interventions and conflict resolution, and you end up talking to the whole family. And this again is 3 o'clock in the morning. But that's really what mentorship is about. How can we break those cycles? How can we talk to our students about conflict resolution and making better decisions? It doesn't always have to end a certain way. It doesn't always have to end where someone has to go to the hospital or be incarcerated. Let's just sit and talk about different things. And that's something that we do as a mentor. We really help our young ladies, or I really help my young ladies to see the importance of conflict resolution.
Thank you. How do you also help them when it comes to teenage pregnancies? How do you address that issues with them?
That's a really great question. First of all, I'm honest. I'm honest about, pro-choice. I'm honest about not pro-choice in a sense of, you know, abortion, non-abortion. We're pro-choice about your own body and protecting your own body, and you having the power to do what's best for your own self. And so what I do is I try to educate them on ways to prevent teenage pregnancy. I have real conversations with them. I tell them, I say, having a baby is the easy part. But what if you get a sexually transmitted disease that you can't get rid of? And there's plenty of them out there. So I have real conversations with them. I let them speak to people because I am a part of the African American Male Wellness Agency, and I'm the coordinator for National Black AIDS HIV Awareness Day. And I have built a relationship with a lot of people who are living with the virus. And so I allow my young ladies to actually speak with them and to hear some experiences, some real life experiences on some things that they wish they would have done different. And a lot of it is just making better decisions and making sure that we protect our own bodies, because we're in charge of, our own bodies.
How about the issue of drugs and addiction?
That's a really great point. Today, these days, you really have to be careful what you consume. And again, it's really about just having real conversations. I have experience as an educator. A couple of my students have um, taken back. They have experienced some bad drugs, and I'm sorry, I don't want to get emotional. And from that experience, it has changed their life forever. And I'm able to take that bad experience and to share it with my young ladies to hopefully produce some change in them, that they will want to do something different. I also talk to them. A lot of my young ladies want to become nurses. And I talk to them about, well, how are you going to get a job if you can't pass a drug test? And really, the decisions you make today affect your adult life. The decisions that you make as a youth affect who you will become as an adult. And just as plain as I'm talking to you, I speak with them. You're not going to get a job being a nurse if you have a criminal background. You're not going to get a job being a nurse if you can't pass a drug test. You're not going to get a job being a nurse if you don't know how to dress and you think that you can go to an interview with the bonnet on. You're not going to get a job being a nurse if you can't even have a conversation. You're not going to get a job being a nurse if you can't even write a paper. And so I have these conversations with them, and they begin to examine who they are. And guess what we do? We come up with a plan. You know, if you have things that you need to work on, let's just say it's drugs. Let's talk about a plan for you to get off those drugs. And what does that look like? And we have a partnership with Columbus Public Health, Equitas, different partners that we can work with that can come up with a plan for you so you can become more successful. We also look at, I say, tell me somebody who you want to be like, and it can't be me, but tell me somebody you want to be like. Let's look at their journey in life. Let's look at who they are and how did they get there. And then tell me somebody you don't want to be like. Let's look at their journey. Now, do you see some of the behaviors that you are exhibiting of the person that you want to be like or that you don't want to be like? And so we do different exercises like that. And eventually, it doesn't happen overnight. That's why mentorship can't be, it's a 24-hour job and it can't just be a one stop shop. It's a continuous thing. And even my students who are 26, 27, they're still calling me today and we still have mentoring conversations. But it's about that real life experience and who do you want to become? Now, I have harsh conversations with my girls. If you don't care about your life, go stand out right now in the corner, with a cup. Because to me, with the behaviors that you are exhibiting and the things that you're doing is showing me that you want to become something different. And I'm just not interested in that. So real conversations, and sometimes, it may get uncomfortable, but we always bring it back, we always end with love.
Thank you. You grew up around education. So to you, education itself is a value system because of the home you grew up around. You have a lot of people, a lot of kids who grew up around parents who either do not have education or do not value education. So when you have encounters with this youth, how do you address that issue with them when they are not interested in going to school because that value system is not entrenched in their home?
That's a really great question. And the fortunate thing for me is I have the opportunity to hold people accountable to our educational system. And so for me, it is ensuring that our students have an engaging opportunity. Our students have an engaging curriculum. Our students have the opportunity to experience things that they're interested in. So when you talk about writing, well, if the music is their thing right now, have them write a rap song, but just make sure it's grammatically correct. So for me, I have a more of an opportunity to have a huger stance on education because I have to help hold people accountable to the experience that our youth are experiencing. The other thing is when you talk about education, we look at the careers as it relates to trade. Everyone doesn't have to go to college, but we look at lifestyles. Again, that's the comparison. What type of lifestyles do you want to live? And a lot of our youth, this show and tell. And so for me, it's always show and tell. Do you want to live this lifestyle where you have to drive and look in your rearview mirror to see if anybody's following you? Or do you want to drive home comfortably in your nice car? What type of lifestyle do you want to live? Okay. Do you want to live where you don't have an option as to where you want to work? Or do you want to live where you have an option? And so when you educate yourself, you have options. So again, that's that real life experience, showing them, modeling them a lot of meet and greet. Let's meet this person. Okay. Talk to us about your experience and how did you get there? So helping them to value education and also reading. I have my girls read a lot because I believe that you can't articulate and have a conversation with someone if you haven't experienced reading and writing. If you can't read and write, you can't do a lot of things. And so just really stressing the importance of lifestyle. What type of lifestyle do you want to live? I talk a lot about breaking cycles and curses because I believe that, a lot of things that we're experiencing right now in our community has to do with cycles and curses. And so, how do you become the history maker in your family? What does that look like for you? How do you become the person, the first? Or maybe you don't want to become the first. Maybe your child's going to become the first. But again, that's that real life experience, real conversations, letting them see that the difference between an educated and a non-educated person. And the greater news is I'm an example of education really does make a difference.
Exactly. And then you have kids who came from homes where parents are either incarcerated or they are addicts. And you find out these kids, they have no real models when it comes to parenting. So, how do you handle that kind of situation with kids who come from homes like that?
Yeah, and that is very challenging because they are dealing with a lot of hurt, a lot of confusion. So I am very big on counseling and a support system. And so I help them build their support system. Who is your support system? I'm part of your support system, but who else? So I try to get a lot of my students in counseling. A lot of people don't believe in counseling, but I think counseling is a key to healing. I also help them to understand that, about choices and how we can make better choices so we do not have to end in the same situation that some of our loved ones are in. We also talk through it, talk through how does this make you feel? Journal. We have a journal that we have to write in every day. And even if you miss your journal entry, you still have to come back the next day and share how do you feel? How do you feel? And what can we do differently so that we don't have to experience these feelings again? So I start with the person individually first. I allow them to have the experience, have the feeling of, a lot of them they're experiencing regrets. A lot of them, again, they are confused and they have a lot of hatred that they feel right now because they don't understand. They always want to blame the system. It's the system. It's the system. And so I help them understand that we cannot always blame the system. We have to begin to take our own accountability. Now, we can talk about the elephant in the room. Okay. Does our youth have the same opportunities as some of their counterparts? No. Do they experience the same consequences some as their counterparts? No. It's very unfortunate that I have to talk to my students about when you get pulled over by the police, here's what you did. But right now, that's our reality. And until we get more people into the system that can make changes and people to begin to run for public office that can make changes, here's what we got to do. So if you want to make a difference, I need you to go to school, keep a clean background, do different things because you got to become part of the system. So yes, unfortunate that we have to have these conversations, but we do. Okay, so let's address the man. I always want to blame it on the man. I want to look at ourselves. So when you talk about students that are experiencing parents that are incarcerated, they are dealing with a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. And so what I notice myself doing a lot is just talking to them, spending time with them, allowing them to experience positive activities, allowing them just being that hope for them that one day change will come.
Thank you. One day change will come. And now let's talk about poverty and food insecurity. Those are some of the major challenges that youth face, especially youth from the inner city. How do you address these challenges with some of your mentees that may be going through those?
Well, the first thing we talk about is um, we want to make sure that we always have an opportunity for the youth to eat. And so I don't turn anyone away from making sure they eat a healthy lunch and things like that. So making sure that we have resources available. But we talk about a couple of things. The first thing is about, again, choices. Are you experiencing this because you want to spend your money on different things such as hair, nails, and things that are not responsible? Are you really experiencing a form of poverty? In the cases that students are really experiencing poverty, I make sure that I provide different resources to them, such as, the food pantry and the food banks. And there are all different there are a lot of programs out there that can help with that. But what we noticed is that, poverty then in turn, it determines what type of student that, the youth are going to be. So again, I have the opportunity to be hold people accountable. So when the students come to school and they may be sleepy, let them get a little bit of rest, because they had to maybe worry all night how they're going to eat. Okay, they had to worry all night about how their sibling was going to eat. And so one of the things that I always do is I keep things in my office like snacks and different healthy foods for them to be able to come and experience, just in case that they are afraid to ask for some food because they did not have the opportunity to eat at night. But that does, statistics does show that when you talk about a student and their grades, that does affect the overall student. So as long as we have the power to do something different, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to always make sure that I eliminate any excuses for you to be successful. You need food? Okay, here's food. You need a ride? Okay, here's a ride. You need this, you need that. I'm going to always be that resource for that particular student or young lady, because I want to eliminate all excuses.
Thank you. How do you address the issue of that invisible pipeline of from going from high school to prison when it comes to Black youth?
You said, how do I'm sorry, our phone.
The issue of the invisible pipeline of high school to prison when it comes to Black youth.
Yeah, I think we have to address it by, our judicial system. We need to be able to have different alternatives for our youth. It should not be straight incarceration. It should be that we can have different programs that our youth would have an alternative option to. So we can have different programs that if our youth successfully completes these programs, then they will not have to experience that incarceration. And so I think that we have to create different alternative programs for our youth to have advantages to an experience.
Thank you. And I also know that part of some of the things you do has to do with revitalizing the community. What are those initiatives that you've taken to help that immediate community?
So we offer our diplomas. There's no age cap, and so when you talk about education, workforce, and health, we make sure that our youth have an experience to earn a credential. So all of our youth leave the high school with a credential. But it's a really great thing, because when you talk about breaking the cycle, we have had a traditional high school graduate high school with their grandparents and with their mom. And so we've had three generations graduate high school. And so we also make sure that we make sure that minorities and people that small businesses have an experience to get on big, large projects that they may not have an experience, that they may not be able to have access to. We also make sure that we have what we call the again, African American Wellness Walk, where you talk about being healthy and making sure that you're healthy to go to work and that you are going to the doctor, because if you're not healthy, then you can't go to work. And so I think that just having all these different opportunities available to the community is helping to reduce some of the issues that we're experiencing in our community.
Thank you. And you mentioned earlier when you started the show, you say you are currently the Chief Compliance Director of the National Center for Urban Solutions.
Yes.
So, what are your roles, in this position?
Right. Well, nobody likes the compliance director, right? And so I'm just joking. But yeah, I have to help hold everyone responsible to the rules and regulations, and making certain that we do what we say we're going to do. And so we have different grant objectives that we have to make sure that we're meeting. And so it is my job to make sure that we are following all the rules and the regulations as it relates to our strategic goals and all the things that we have planned as it relates to our objectives.
Okay. Yeah, you spent your career building youth, building lives, educating youth. Now you want to move into the political arena. You are currently running to become the first Black woman commissioner in Licking County. What inspired you to seek this post?
So, when I looked at just what I have been doing over the past 15 to 20 years, I looked at how can I take my advocacy to another level. And I looked at, I originally thought about becoming city council, the auditors. And so I looked at the county commissioner and I thought it aligned best with what I'm doing on a day to day basis. And really, when you look at the agencies that they're working with, I'm very familiar with all of pretty much a lot of those agencies that they already oversee. And I thought that what better way to make change and to become part of change than to become the county commissioner and to collaborate with those agencies for change. And as it relates to the county commissioner and mentoring, I believe that as the county commissioner, it is our job to help the agencies that are doing the work to make sure that we are providing different resources so they can continue to do the work that they're doing in the community.
Thank you. And a lot of people don't know what commissioners do. Can you educate the public as to the roles of commissioners in the county?
Sure. So the commissioner is responsible. They oversee all the county agencies. So when you look at your job and family services, your waste management, your aging communities, just to name a few, they oversee all those different agencies. They work with a few local boards. So they're over a few local boards, but the primary role is to make sure that they oversee all the agencies in the county.
Thank you. And what are those professional and personal skills that you've accumulated over the years that you're bringing to the table as a commissioner?
That's really good. I believe that my professional, I am, as I stated earlier, as the chief compliance director, I have already been in charge of $1 million budgets. I've already gained the auditing skills. I'm over all the boards for our organization. I also have learned, which I think is the best skill, which is collaboration and understanding that in order for a community to be effective in the community, they have to work with the people that are doing the work. And so that's one of the things that I'm stressing, and one of the things that I'm going to continue to stress. I also have a background in just home ownership and making sure that people have the opportunities for home ownership, making sure that again we are focusing on minority and small businesses. You know, we have Intel coming to our county, which is a big thing, so large that even the president made mention. But I want to make sure that our county, that the people, the small businesses that have been in our county, to make sure that our county has been thriving, that they have a seat at the table when it comes to the Intel project. And so I believe that as the county commissioner, first of all, we're going to get rid of doing the same old thing, and we're going to hear what the residents and the citizens of Licking County have to say. And I want to help hold the agencies that are accountable to doing the work. I want to hold them accountable, but I also want to be a part of the accountability.
Thank you. In the past, you've also served as a volunteer volleyball coach.
Yes, I have.
Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, I have. So my daughter, she plays volleyball, and for the Reynoldsburg Parks and Recreation, I was a volleyball coach for 3 years. I've also coached for the our high school. Again, anything with youth, I've tried to make sure that I have stayed involved with, because if not us, then who? If we're not going to do the work, then who is going to do the work? And we can't just wait for someone to do it. We have to do it ourselves. So any type of program that I can be a part of, I want to be a part of. I've also am on the board for Orange Hearts McKenzie. And a lot of people are familiar with Mackenzie's death. She was gunned down at a park and recreation center. And so we started a board. Her mom started an organization. And with this organization, we are giving youth entrepreneurs the opportunity to start their business. And so I'm really excited to be a part of that board. We just recently was able to give 10 students or 10 youth $1,000 a piece to launch their business. Again, tying back to the community and being changed. But how do you change the community? You have to get involved in the community. And so just as I had a great mentor or mentors, Miss Johnson and Miss Harper, again, we talk about 80% of people that were mentored become mentors. And so, if anything, I hope that I can encourage someone to become a mentor and really to decrease the incarceration, to decrease teen pregnancy, to decrease, violence in our neighborhood or in our neighborhoods. You have to become a mentor. You have to get involved, and you can't be afraid of what is to come. You got to really trust the Lord and trust that you're going to be protected. You got to get out there. You got to get to them streets and do the work.
Thank you. What are those changes that you hope to bring to the county?
So, some of the things that I want to bring to the county is I want to decrease homelessness. There is a huge homelessness in the county. So, I want to work with how do we decrease homelessness and how do we get those people, back to work. I want to work on creating a transportation system, a better transportation system, a more accessible transportation system. You will be surprised that I as I've been going door to door, I've been hearing so many people that cannot go to work. Senior citizens unable to, get medicine. They have to choose. What do I do because there's no transportation. I also want to make sure that, like I said, we increase home ownership. And I believe that we can do that by just educating our community on, just credit. What are some best strategies to make sure that your credit stays the way that it needs to stay so you can own a house. So those are some things that I want to do as the county commissioner, making sure that everyone has an opportunity to grow in their small businesses, and making sure that in the schools that we are providing funding for mental health. COVID, we were already dealing with a high suicide rate, but ever since COVID, I believe the rate's up 35%. And so I want to make sure that as the county commissioner that I am supporting the agencies that are actually doing the work and providing that mental health support to our youth so we can decrease the suicide numbers that are happening in schools.
Exactly. And Intel is coming to town. Intel is coming to Licking County.
Intel.
How, yes, as a county commissioner, if you or when you get elected, how do you address housing issues that may come up with Intel coming to town to start that factory?
So the first thing that I think that we need to do or that I'm going to do is there's not really a comprehensive plan that has been created and shared with the actual county. The other thing is just being transparent. A lot of people have, land that they're not using. But again, because we haven't been transparent, then they're not reluctant to want to do anything different. So I want to make sure that we're having town hall meetings. We're keeping our community abreast to what is actually going on with this project and how is it going to affect them. Making sure that I'm meeting with the realtors and the Ohio Board realtors to make sure that they have a seat at the table when it comes to planning for the upcoming housing issues that we're going to have. There is a shortage in houses. There's a shortage in supplies. But I want to become, Delaware right now, Delaware County, they're the leading county in Ohio as it relates to, in central Ohio as it relates to housing. So I'm curious to even meet with, those housing developments. How can Lincoln County become a part of that, a part of the leading county in housing. And a lot of that has to do with just different partnerships. And, as I mentioned earlier, Intel's coming, but they have a lot of different resources that I believe that they should be held accountable to, with it when as it relates to our county, and making sure that our housing needs are met, our working needs are met. We have about 20,000 new jobs coming. Have we already identified different organizations that can help with ensuring that we get those jobs filled? What is the plan? So the first thing I'm going to do is create a comprehensive plan, making sure that we are being transparent with our residents by having town hall meetings, getting some of their feedback, and building a collaborative team with all the partners and all the businesses that are going to be doing the work.
Thank you. You are running an historical campaign. How
I
does that feel?
it's so surreal. Every day I wake up and I think about the unlimited possibilities of becoming the very first Black county commissioner of Licking County. And when you think about what is happening right now for women in politics, it just seems so surreal. But I know that it can happen. I can't do it by myself. I really need the community to step up, to volunteer, and to help me get the word out that I am running for county commissioner, and some of the changes that I want to bring to the county. I need help, but it's so surreal. But I know that it is attainable, and I know that I have the skill, I have the passion, and that I will be able to accomplish, being a great commissioner.
Okay.
I also believe that it's our time. It's my time, and it's still time for women in politics to stand up. And I believe that I can be the voice for Licking County.
Yeah. What do you have to say to that young girl out there who's looking at you and hoping to be where you are today, one day?
So, if I could say one thing, I would say to always believe in yourself and to never give up. Every day is a new day. And as long as you continue to practice that every day is a new day, tomorrow is gone, and focus on what you're going to do for today, then you're going to be fine. And to love yourself. Everything starts with you. How do you love yourself? Every day, I have my young ladies, I give them sticky notes, and I have them write on a sticky note that I am great. And I have them put that on the mirror every single day and look themselves in the mirror and tell themselves that they are great. And I believe that every Black female, it doesn't even matter if you're Black, but every female out there, we have the power for change. We were created that way. We were created to be the change makers in our world, in our cities, and in our counties. So just hang in there, and to remember that you have the power to be you.
You. And what do you want the people of Licking County to remember about you when they go to the polls?
I want them to remember to first raise your voice and make Gregory your choice. But secondly, to remember that if you are tired of the same old thing, then you really need to vote for Gregory. And I'm going to be the person that I have been campaigning and saying that I'm going to be. I'm really going to be the voice for change. I'm really going to work with all the agencies that are doing the work. I'm really going to collaborate with all the partners and create different partnerships and bring different initiatives to our county. There's no way. I just posted on my page, Franklin County has an opportunity for small businesses. They have a grant. If you had any type of hardship, during COVID or in the last year, you can apply for this grant. Well, I don't see that for Licking County. And I believe that's part of my job, to work with other elected officials to make sure that we have all the same opportunities that all the other counties are having. I believe that it is the county commissioner's job to work with the different agencies to see how else can we improve the lives of our citizens, and what else can we bring to our county to make sure that we're the leading county in workforce, education, housing, and our aging community. How are we taking care of our aging community? So I want people to know that I'm going to be the person I'm going to be, but I can't do it if we don't get out there and vote.
Thank you. How can people connect with you?
So you can follow my Facebook page at DeVeonne Gregory for Licking County Commissioner, or you can link to my website, which is www.citizenstoelectgregory.com. There you can sign up to volunteer. You can learn more about me. I have an event on Saturday. I'm not for sure when this is going to air, but I have an event. But also on my website, you can keep abreast to what I have going on. I have a lot of events coming up. So www.citizenstoelectgregory.com.
Thank you. And what does coming on legal angle mean to you?
What does Wacky?
Coming on legal angle mean to you?
Common and legal,
Legal angle, the
com,
show.
common and legal, say it one more time.
What does coming on legal angle
Oh,
mean
your
to you?
show. Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, this show, first of all, it means to me education. And because I'm an educator, then I am excited about the show because you are educating the community on, first of all, what's going on in our community, what we can do different, and how we can be the voice for our community and create change in our community. So I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you for not being afraid to have people come on and to speak about topics that may be uncomfortable for people. And I just thank you for the opportunity to make sure that the community knows what's going on and what's coming up.
Thank you for coming on to Legal Angle, and it's been a pleasure talking to you and for telling us about your mentorship program and your campaign.
Thank you.
And for those of you watching us at home, we thank you for joining us. And for those of you listening to this as a podcast, we thank you too. Until next time, stay blessed. Bye for now.